Well, there has been a change in investor sentiment regarding investing in small business, and here's what it is. Because of what occurred during the pandemic, this remarkable digital pivot, I call it, America 2.0, where companies that pre-pandemic, if you look at the pie chart of revenue, it would have been 50% through retail, 40% through Amazon, just another retailer, except you don't get the data from them, 10% your own website. That's completely changed. The successful companies that went through the pandemic, even Amazon went to essential goods only, if you remember, in February, March, April, and May of 2020. So those companies had to build out their own platforms and start acquiring customers. So if you look for an A round or a B round or a C round in a small business now, and you go to the investor community and say, look, I'm looking for money, the first question every investor's analyst asks you, and we're no different.
Yeah, just building on the theme Kevin led off with, is that a small business today has to be a digital business. There is no option. And we see that in our data. Large digital businesses grow about 3 times as fast as small businesses online, simply because they're better set up to do so. And this is a societal problem. This is not just a small business problem. We cannot have small businesses fail because they're not digital businesses. So in many cases, it is that education, it is those tools, it is empowerment, it is mentorship, it is enabling them to mine data the way Kevin's talking about, so they have a legitimate competitive proposition in the digital space. So while data is important, taking that data and applying a service proposition around it is also incredibly important. Marketing is a competitive advantage for a business, and more important than money is ingenuity. And when the money tightens, the ingenuity has to grow even more. So what I'm looking for from my teams for the next year is not to worry all day and night about what the budget is, but it's what are you going to do with the money you have? How are you going to make it work harder? Because I think that's where the real magic happens, not just in the budget on its own. So when it comes to risk taking, there are many things we'll do differently next year than this year. If the ability to spend contracts, which we expect it might, then we'll do more targeted work. We'll get better on segmentation. We'll talk less to fewer people, but more effectively. We'll find loyalty and retention as a bigger objective than acquisition. So there's a lot you can do to manage these moments, but you've got to show ingenuity and not just depend on a budget and a check.
I take a slightly different approach, because if I look at a company and they're spending 12 to 18% of their income statement on marketing, essentially, I want to know what the return of that is. And so to me, that is measured by customer acquisition cost, because I don't care who you are, what you sell. It's as you said, Rustam, that it's about digital. Every business that's successful, even Nike, a giant behemoth, during the pandemic, they claimed it was going to take them 6 years to get to 50% direct consumer in all geographies. They did it in 5 months. And as a result, survived the pandemic at much higher margins and free cash flow, because the only costs you have if you're direct to consumer is manufacturing, logistics of shipping, and customer acquisition costs. That's it. Now, if you have that situation, you're bypassing the traditional distribution, saving 40%, and that goes right back into the business. So for me, it's if you're spending money on marketing, are you constantly experimenting with new ideas? So I've always said to my companies, I want a third of marketing to be experimental every quarter. Because if you're just sitting on your laurels doing the same old crap, you're missing out and your competitors are going to do something else. So start experimenting, because the value of something that works, that you find through just creative chaos, is extremely higher than what you've already been doing.
25 years ago, we came up with this idea that there are some things in life money can't buy, for everything else as MasterCard. And it's kind of been the philosophy on which the company has been built over the last 25 years. And we saw a community idea that came from actually one of our employees that has been a huge success. It's called the True Name card. It's a card that allows you to put your chosen name on the card. Now, if you are a person who is going through a gender transition and are transgender, the worst thing possible is to put your credit card down at a shop or a restaurant and have the stigma of someone looking at the name and questioning whether that's really you. Now, the reality is, we don't need the name to process a transaction. We just need the 16-digit code and the security code. We don't need the name. So why is the name so important for the card at a point of payment? So we gave people the option to put whatever name they want, whether it's because they're going through a gender transition or whether it's because they want to use a maiden name or a professional name or any name that they might want. And this has just opened up such a host of possibilities for people that were otherwise stigmatized by a product feature that wasn't needed. So it's not technology innovation, but it is tactile, simple life innovation that has just made life that much better for a consumer.